Hello, welcome to Tiffany Teach Tuesday. I'm going to give a few people a chance to join us so that everyone can get the information, get my lighting together. Okay, there you go. So I hope you guys can see. Okay, so today we're going to discuss real estate tips for first-time home buyers. It's a new year, new goals been set, and how can you achieve those goals if one of your goals this year is to purchase you a home or a condo, mixed use property, multi-unit building, and you're a first time home buyer. The first thing you need to do is start saving for your down payment. A down payment it varies depending on who the lender is and the type of loan that you're getting. The lowest amount of down payment is 3%. And that you have to have in the bank of your own money. You can't get your down payment paid by anyone else. You can get it as a gift from a loved one, but you have to have the money in the bank for your down payment. And you need to start saving for it. So ways, if you're a poor saver, increase your 401k contribution because you can get the money out of your 401k to purchase a home. That's one way that you can start saving. Get you in a money market account or some account that will penalize you if you take out too many withdrawals a month. You could save there. You have to start saving. Put together yourself a budget. And how that looks is finding out what it is that you spend most of your money on. A lot of times we as people don't know what we're spending our money on. And if you sit down and look over your monthly expenses and what you have to allocate your money to, you can start cutting costs. Every year I work on cutting my costs. So at the end of the year, I call my cable company, I call my cell phone company, I even got my credit card interest rates lowered to cut costs. Less interest I pay on the balance I may have, the more money I can save. Cable bill, I got my cable bill for 1 year down to $25 a month for a whole year. Then the second year, I got it down to $50 a month for the whole year. And finding out where you can cut costs because they consider you valued customer, you can use that time. I mean, you can use that as a, hey, I'll cancel it and start streaming because everybody's streaming now. And they'll be like, well, to keep you, they'll give you incentives and they'll give you a lower rate. So that's a way that you can save. And that money that you save, you can put into your savings account to save towards your down payment or put towards your 401k or 403b, whatever form of 2-hour account, and you can use that money to purchase the home. So that's what you need to do. Get a down payment. You have to get a down payment and save for it. Secondly, your closing costs. Closing costs run between 2 and 5%. And you can actually have the lender to assist with your closing costs. FHA, it's up to 3%. They can assist. Conventional, I believe, is 5% or 4%. And VA, I think, is 5%. But your lender will tell you those amounts that they can contribute. So that means when you have your real estate broker to put in the contract, you can ask for assistance towards your closing costs. And your lender lets you know what your max is based off the type of lending you have to put that percentage towards your closing costs. However, this is something they don't tell you. You still have to have that money in the bank. Even though the seller is contributing towards your closing costs, you still have to have money in the bank for that. So right now we're looking at the minimum of 3% for a down payment and the minimum of a closing cost is 2%. I typically tell my people double it to 3. And I actually truthfully tell them the worst case scenario is the 5%. So you need a total of 8% in your account. So I tell my people that so they can make sure they have enough money saved for their down payment, because if you don't come up with the money for the closing costs and the down payment, you're not closing. I don't care who accepts your offer. So you need to make sure you start saving and getting your funds together for that. Then the last thing you need to save for is moving expenses. Now, you need to have somebody, you done gave all your money at the closing, but you still need to get a U-Haul truck. You might want to paint in the house. You may need to get some curtains, some furnishings. Understand this, my first-time home buyers. Do not, hear me, do not go put anything on credit to help with this home purchasing process. Because the more your debt to income ratio is, the higher it is, that you have more debt than you have income, the less amount of home you can afford. So you want to next check your credit and strengthen your credit. Now, everybody loves Credit Karma. The banks and the amount, what Credit Karma, those credit scores they give you are not accurate. They give you the right of things that's what's on your credit, but the credit score is not accurate. The credit score that you pay for from a credit report through a credit report facility, that score is more accurate and in line with what the banks look at. And each bank looks at different creditors. Some of them look at Expedia, some of them look at TransUnion, some of them look at what is Expedia, TransUnion, and Equifax. So you don't know which one they're looking at. So you need to clean up your credit, because each credit bureau takes certain information. Now, if you want an accurate credit report, go to this website that's on the screen, annualcreditreport.com. That is the one that I utilize to check my credit, to see what's on my credit, and to pull my credit score. If you don't have already a credit monitoring service, like through my bank, they offer me a credit monitoring service. So I pay for that monthly. It's like $3, $4 a month I pay for, because I had someone to steal my purse. So I put that on there. And so my score is what the bank pulls anyway. But if you don't have that, annualcreditreport.com is a good place, a starting point for an accurate credit report. Check your credit. Make sure there's no collections. They will not give you any money if you owe somebody something for collections. Understand this. So you need to get all the collections cleared up. Pay your bills on time every month. That is very important as well. You need to make sure you pay them on time, and pay your balances down to keep them low, because the lower your balances, the more credit, higher your credit score will be. And you don't have to pay it all off. You can leave balances, but if you want, or you can pay it all off, but make sure the balances that you do leave are less than 80%, less than 20% of a balance on the card. So those are the things that you need to do to start the home buying process. What you can afford is based off of the credit, the income, and the amount of money you have saved. So what that means, if you buy a $100,000 home, you need to have at least $8,000 saved. Now, the pretty sad to that is you can get 3% of that seller to give you 3% towards your closing costs, which means you will only use $5,000, which in turn will leave you $3,000 that you can use to help you move with your moving expenses. But do know you need to, so whatever amount that in your head that you want to save, you want to purchase of a home price, make sure you have 8% of that total amount in your savings that you can obtain for the closing costs, because the bank is going to want to see it. And that money must be seasoned for at least 3 months, because they're going to want to see 3 months of bank statement showing that you have those funds in the bank when you started the home purchasing process. You can add it along the way, like getting it from your check stuff. I mean, payment of your checks and stuff like that throughout the process. But you need to have a lot of it, most of it seasoned. If you get lump sums of money put into your account, the bank is going to ask you to tell them where you're getting this money from. Okay. So if your grandmother gave you $2,000 to buy your first home, you have to get a letter from your grandmother and provide her bank statement showing that she had the $2,000 in her bank account prior to giving you the money, and give that to the bank for it. If you got it from a loved one passing away and leaving you money, you have to prove where you got this lump sum of money if it's not in the account with the last 3 bank statements when you gave it to the bank. So remember that, my first time home buyers. You can get gifts, but again, they have to tell you, the people that give you the gifts have to show that they have the money to give to you prior to them giving it to you in their account. So if you have people who are very private about their money and they want to black out everything on the bank statement of what they used their money for and where it came in from, then they're not the person that you can use, because the bank wants a clean bank statement showing all of the money in the bank, and what they don't care about what they use their money for. They just want to know if they had it to give it to you. So save your money. Secondly, I typically tell my first time home buyers, make sure that you buy a home that is affordable to you. What does a home that's affordable to you look like? I tell my first time home buyers, if you pay $1,000 a month in rent and you struggling, don't get a home purchase that requires you to pay $1,200 a month in rent, because you're going to struggle. Because now you're not going to call the landlord if the sink gets stopped up or the roof start leaking or the toilet gets backed up. You have to pay for that. So you need to leave in your budget a cushion for repairs. Even if you get a new house, totally renovated, things break in homes. They just do. And new renovated homes, nobody's ever used it. So you don't know what is really working. And when they run the water in the dishwasher and all of that, flush the toilet, things can be seen, looking and sounding perfectly fine. But once you start using it on a continuing basis, and it's 30 days in, 90 days in, and now you have problems, you have to fix them because you own it. So I also tell my first time home buyers, which I'll tell you about that later, getting home warranties, and we'll discuss that at a later time. But right now, I just want to tell you the first tips of preparing yourself to get a home if you want one in 2021. And that's start your savings for your down payment and your closing costs, your moving expenses, and making sure your credit is in order. So I hope that this helps someone. And if you have any questions, I'll take some questions now. If you need me to answer any questions for you. Thanks everyone for who joined in. I have no questions. I'll see you next week, Tuesday. And let me tell you what next week, Tuesday topic is. Oh, it's about mortgages. So next week, Tuesday, we'll be discussing about the mortgage selection options and things that you can do for the mortgage selection process. And if you have credit and you're having a difficult time cleaning up your credit, you can also call Joanna at Credit RX, and they can help you clean up your credit as well if you have a hard time doing it yourself. So as usual, enjoy the rest of your week. Happy New Year! And thank you for joining me, and I'll see you again on next Tuesday.